All right, let me go ahead and share what we're going to be doing today. So as I said, we are having our CAS virtual reflection celebration here. And here are our three students, Peter, I am of course the CAS coordinator. Then we have our G12 students, Joy, Livia, and also Avani. Now you might be asking, what is CAS? Again, those of you that are in 11th grade, you should know what it is. Those of you that are in 10th grade, this is what you will be expected to do in your DP years for 11th and 12th grade. CAS is part of the DP program. It is an essential part of the DP program, and you have to complete it if you want to graduate with your diploma, IB diploma, and as well as for your CAS diploma, you need it in order to graduate. Now, CAS is an IB requirement. Again, if you want to graduate our school, you will need it. You will need to complete this, okay? So CAS basically stands for creativity, activity, and service. I know it doesn't sound very amazing. It's quite basic, C, A, and S, creativity, activity, and service. And basically starting in your 11th grade through the middle of your 12th grade, you are going to fulfill 7 learning outcomes that I've listed below by involving yourselves in various self-initiated experiences related to these 3 things. Experiences that relate to creativity, about 50 hours. Experiences related to action, about 50 hours. And experiences related to service, about 50 hours. Now, all of these creativity, action, and service experiences should fulfill 7 learning objectives or outcomes. And you need to fulfill these 7 learning outcomes multiple times in order to pass CAS and in order to qualify to get your IB diploma. These 7 learning outcomes are listed here. Number 1, identify your own strengths and develop areas for personal growth. Number 2, demonstrate that challenges have been undertaken, developing new skills in the process. Number 3, demonstrate how to initiate and plan a CAS experience. Number 3 actually should be the easiest one because of the fact that every time you do a CAS experience from beginning to end, in order for it to count, you will have demonstrated how to initiate and plan a CAS experience. Number 4, show commitment to and perseverance in CAS experiences. Number 5, demonstrate the skills and recognize the benefits of working collaboratively. So CAS is very much into not just doing this CAS alone, but doing CAS with other people like your friends or whatever organization that you're involved in, a nonprofit or whatnot, like a church or whatnot. Number 6, demonstrate engagement with issues of global significance. And last, recognize and consider the ethics of your choices and actions. So these are the 7 learning outcomes that you're supposed to fulfill multiple times in order to be able to pass your CAS. So we're going to have some sharing from our G12 students who actually have done very well with their CAS, and they're going to be sharing some of their 7 learning outcomes that they did well in and what it looked like, how they did that, and how they felt and thought of as they were doing and accomplishing these 7 learning outcomes. Also, up to this point, it's been sort of conceptual. So they'll be sharing some of the activities that they did, the experiences that they did related to C, A, and S in order to gain these 7 learning outcomes. All right. Each of them will highlight how they did in a 5-minute sharing. And then we'll have a time of question and answer after each student so that if you have any questions, you can ask them through the chat or just speak out and ask them a question related to what they share. Now, I want you guys to think, G10 and 11 students, think about this guiding question. as you listen to what they share. What do you think are your strengths and weaknesses in relation to these CAS 7 learning outcomes you heard shared in order to prepare yourself to do better and deeper CAS work next year? Now, for those of you who are in 10th grade, this might not mean that much because all of this vocabulary may be new to you. But those of you who are in 11th grade, this will mean a lot because some of you are struggling with your CAS work and you want to do better CAS work. And so therefore, please listen carefully because what these students will share will definitely help you. Okay, and at the end, you're going to be filling out a digital survey related to this guiding question as sort of your exit ticket. Okay, so the first person that we're going to have is Avani, and I'm going to go ahead and share the blog that they created that relates to their learning objectives. This here is a part of their program that they needed to finish. They had a final reflection and celebration that they needed to finish. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to Joy. Let's see, or maybe I can go down this way. Yeah, Joy Yang's CAS tree. Joy, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and go to wherever you want on the website. Are you ready? Yes.
Okay. Hi guys， 我要讲中文。好，所以呢，我主要是讲3个我比较 highlight 的outcomes。那第一个是，不是，主要是第一个、第3个跟第5个。那先到第一个，那个 identify my own strengths and develop areas of growth。这个我主要的 activity 是用那个 musical 的，就是你们之后10年级应该也会用到的一个musical 的一个东西。那其实这个我自己是认为我在这东西之间学到蛮多的。那虽然就是看起来是一个蛮 easy 的 task， 但是就是对我来说就是一个蛮大的 challenge， 因为我从来没有用过一个这样那么大的 canvas 去作画。然后呢然后上面的这些设计其实也都是从自己脑袋里面想的这样。所以呢，对，还有就是尤其因为就是同学他们都比较没有这方面的，不是没有艺术天分，就是比较没有那么强的艺术能力。对，所以呢就也要同时担任一个领导者的责任这样子。那我认为这个活动各位也可以学到很多，如果10年级想要参加的话，可以多去报名这样。对，那我个人是在这里面我是学到蛮多，就是包括一些颜色上面的运用啊，然后呢还有一些艺术技巧上面。对，然后再来看到第三个demonstrate how to initiate and plan a CAS experience。这个是另外一个叫 Beyond Horizon 的活动，它是一个英文的线上教学。那这个主要在讲的是说我们要怎么样 start 一个就是我们要 plan 我们的 experience。对，那在这个活动中，我们就是要每天要 plan 说我们的英文企划，就是我们要教他们什么。然后呢，我也会提前2-3个礼拜就去计划说我接下来要教什么。那也会因为各种课堂的状况，然后呢还有各种就是临场反应等等的，所以要去调整一下我要教的内容这些的。那我认为这也是CAS 其中一个很重要的地方，因为我们要如何设定很明确的目标，然后你要如何透过就是一直 follow 那个 direction， 然后呢最后达成的目标，我认为是在 CAS 中你可以学到蛮多的一个地方。对，然后最后一个是第五个是我们 Bilingual Festival 的 organization。 对，那这个讲的是 working collaboratively。 对，然后反正这个讲的就是你要有团队合作精神。那其实这件事情我本来没有意识到它有那么重要，但是后面越做越发现原来团队合作是真的是蛮重要的。对，那我在这里面学到的是就是原本我是一个比较没有那么合作的人，那我会认为很多事情都应该自己做，然后自己做效果会比较好。对，但是跟这群孩子们 这群学弟妹们一起合作呢，就发现就是他们其实可以 come up with 很多不同的 ideas， 然后就觉得其实那个 working collaborative collab 好合作其实是真的是对一个 project 会有一个很好的方向。对，那我个人会给各位 CAS 就是以后的 future CAS students 的建议是，你们不要以这些 learning outcomes 为目标去做事。毕竟，如果你真的很努力去做一个 project 的话，它其实这些 outcome 几乎都会包括。像我很多 project 都是每一个 outcome 几乎都有涉及到，所以其实主要还是你做什么活动比较重要，而不是说看这些 learning outcome。这些 learning outcome 只是看到你在从中学到什么，而不是说你要根据这些 learning outcome 去选择你要做的事情。对，好，谢谢。
All right, thank you very much, Joy. I like what you said at the end, that sometimes you don't have to first look at the learning outcomes and then find experiences in your life that can fit them. But oftentimes experiences that are very meaningful and also very challenging will have multiple learning outcomes that are there that you can already fulfill as you go through these experiences. So that's a good strategy that you use, Joy. I want to open up this time for questions. Does anyone have any questions that you would like to ask? You know, originally I thought of you maybe unmuting yourself and speaking, but since there are 77 of us, I think that might be a little too much if people talk at the same time. So please go ahead and write your question down on chat. Okay, so you can write it in either Chinese or in English. Do you guys have any questions for Joy and what she shared about her learning outcomes and her CAS experience? And again, for everyone, please turn on your video as Director Robert has shared. Okay, this is part of your learning experience and you need to be paying attention. Okay, Cooper Chi asked a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Cooper, I just outed you. A student asked a question, is Beyond Horizon fun?
Okay, so that question is a very interesting question. Thank you, Cooper, for being the Beyond Horizon manager. Yes, 本身呢，我认为 Beyond Horizon 这个活动是非常有意义的一个活动。那你说真的，它比较像是跟小孩聊天，而不是说真的去教小孩英文的。你不用很在意那 grammar 那些，其实你就是讲故事给他们听，因为我们毕竟是它是一个 reading 的一个活动，就是你找故事，然后跟他们一起读，然后教他一些字这样子。那个人觉得蛮好玩的啦，对。然后如果想参加的话，明年 Cooper 应该会把它交接给下一位，就是看各位再去联络一下。那这活动应该是会在魁山延续下去，希望各位可以多多参与。
All right, any other questions for Joy? Okay, well, why don't we get to our next student, Avani. So I'll go ahead and find Avani's blog. Here. Okay, Avani, are you ready?
Okay, yeah. 好的，大家好。所以我也是会按照那个 learning outcomes 来分享我的 CAS experience。然后我是从第二个开始讲，尽量不要跟刚刚重复。所以呢，第二个在讲的是，就是你在做 CAS 的过程中遇到了什么挑战跟学习到什么。然后这个 learning outcomes 我是从就是我们社团的活动来去达成，因为在就是做社团举办活动的过程当中，通常都会遇到很多问题。那去解决这些问题，就可以就是训练一整个团队的 leadership skills。所以我觉得这是其中一个很重要的 learning outcomes， 就是其实很多活动都可以达到这个目标。然后下一个是第四个，就是我们的 CAS 其实是一个为期大约12到18个月的活动，所以我觉得做一些 long term activity 会就是比较对自己比较有帮助，就不仅仅是为了去符合这个目标， 而是就是你可以长期的一直去做同一件事情。那我的话就是做社团的leader 之一，跟就是参加刚刚杨嘉怡讲到的 Beyond Horizon 的活动。那就是这个 learning outcomes 基本上就只要展现出你就是对某一个 CAS activity 有一个持之以恒、一个持续在贡献或者是持续在学习的样貌，就是去展现你在这个长期的活动当中学习到了什么。然后下一个是第6个，第6个跟第7个在那种比较个人的 activities 里面比较难去达成，但是就是在一些可能团体的社团活动等等的就可以很容易的去达到。比如说第6个是 engagement with global significance。那像我们社团的活动就是很多都是在处理或者是疾病的那种，从社团这些活动就可以去达到第6项 learning outcomes 里面所写到的 engage with issues of global significance。然后第7项是我认为这里面7个 learning outcomes 里面最难达到的，因为很多时候我们可能没有意识到这是一个 ethical choice 跟 action， 所以第7个learning outcomes 就是在讲说你在做这些 CAS experience 的过程当中遇到了哪些可能道德上的困难或是问题。那我的话是在 Beyond Horizon 那个教英文的 project 里面遇到的问题，就是冲突是发生在一个就是一个 volunteer， 我身为一个志愿者跟被帮助的人，我们之间的角色相互之间有些冲突。那从这之中就可以达到第7个目标。那当然，我们不是为了要达到这个目标，所以才去做这个活动，只是刚好这个活动可以达到这个目标，所以就是尽量去多接触一些不一样类型的活动，就不要都做很相似的活动，因为这样你可以达到 learning outcomes 其实很有限，所以尽量去接触不同的活动，你就可以就是可以很轻易的去符合这7个目标，就是多做一些不同各式各样的活动。然后还有一个比较基本的建议，就是比较 overall 的建议，就是你们可以在做 CAS 以前就先 plan 好，就是那些就是长期的活动其实是需要先计划好的，然后这样子你可以更有系统、更有效率的去学习跟成长，大概是这样。
All right, thank you, Avani. Those are very, very insightful. I really enjoyed what Avani said about some long-term experiences are really helpful in gaining not just the hours that you need for CAS, but also a lot of learning outcomes. Usually there's 2 types of CAS students. There's the ones that have just a few experiences, but these experiences are long-term experiences that last for months, maybe even the 2 years that they're doing their DP program. And others who have a splattering of short experiences throughout the entire 2 years, and they have up to like maybe 15 to 30 experiences that they're doing. So both are fine, but if you do a whole spattering of experiences, it'll be a lot more interesting, but then you may not be able to get as many learning outcomes from it. And also because of the fact that it's so quick, the relationship opportunities may not be built with certain people that you're serving, especially if it's a service oriented experience. All right, any questions for Avani? If you do, please put it in the chat. No questions for Avani? Especially those of you who, I mean, if you're a grade 10 student, this might be still a little out there for you, but grade 11 students, is there anything that you felt related with you and what you're doing for your CAS right now? Avani could definitely help you out. Okay. All right, last but not least, we're going to have Livia share. Let me go ahead and go to Livia's blog. Okay, Livia, are you okay if I go ahead and control it on my end?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so Livia, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, so for my first learning outcome, I decided to start a blog as it talks about personal growth. And I think in terms of CAS, one of like pieces of advice would be to choose something that sort of something that you have been always interested in, but always put to the side. I think CAS is a great opportunity to finally go back to all the things you have been put to the side, and then you can make a CAS experience out of that. And I think that also relates to making CAS more fun for you instead of treating it like a chore and just a requirement that you have to be able to graduate. So I think in the introduction, I talk about moving to Taiwan and the whole experience. And I think that was the starting point of personal growth. And so I basically just took advantage of the situation that I was in, and I could integrate that with some of the learning outcomes. So for personal growth, if Mr. Lee could scroll down, it just shows you just an example of some of the ideas that I had for my blog. So personal growth can also come in the form of like self-care ideas, as you can see in the photo, or just general life lessons that you can take from experiences that may not have been so positive. And I think you'll get a lot of experiences, especially during the DP program, that you can learn a lot from, because there's a lot of changes and a lot of failures you have to deal with. So personal growth is definitely something that will come up during DP, and I think it's a good chance to take advantage of that and do something with CAS. And then for the second learning outcome, this was for activity. I chose to cycle. So this was a brand new skill for me, and it was also one of the things that I kind of put to the side. And I, being new to Taiwan, I decided to do this because it was kind of like a chance to not only improve my fitness, it was also something different. And it was kind of interesting because, being surrounded by, being in a new environment, gave me the opportunity to cycle on different routes, to make it more interesting for myself, challenge myself to try and go with places that I haven't been to during my cycling sessions. And so that's what I did. Usually I would familiarize myself with some routes, and then I would just push myself, let's say 5 more kilometers than I went before. So it was kind of, taking those, undertaking those challenges and developing new skills in the process, because I could see that I was becoming more confident with cycling as those challenges have been undertaken. So again, choose something that applies to your interests and something that you can push yourself in and that you can develop new skills in. Don't just choose something that you have been doing or something that you're good at. Choose something that I think will give you a fresh start and something that you can develop. And then for the third learning experience, this was how to initiate and plan a CAS experience. So this kind of applies to all of the experiences, since you still have to have a solid plan how to initiate and plan a CAS experience. But for this one, I think a lot of planning came to this because this was sign language. And so I kind of had to organize and structure my own ideas, what to learn this week, what to record myself do this week, and how to show my evidence. So instead of just taking a picture of what I'm doing, I thought it would be a better idea to just show what I'm doing through recording myself. And this way, I think I was able to initiate and plan for the future in this experience, as when I recorded myself, I could see what I was doing wrong and what I was doing right. So that helped me to plan for the next week what I should work on during that whole week. And then at the weekend, I could record myself again and just keep trying. So that's how I was able to achieve that outcome. And then for the fourth one, this was commitment and perseverance. So again, taking advantage of the situations that you are in. So being in a Chinese school, you know, I don't know Chinese, but I noticed that a lot of the younger students struggle with English and are not very keen on reading in English. And so I think this was a good opportunity for me to, you know, teach them myself and try different methods. And, you know, commitment and perseverance means that, you know, you have to try different methods, look for how to adapt to changes that may occur. Maybe some students may not like a certain method that you are following. Sometimes you will have to adapt yourself, try different alternatives, you know, be more flexible with some of the CAS experiences. And I think this was a good example because some students did not feel comfortable at all with reading or English. And so I had to kind of work out a way how to work with them. Some were very confident. So I also had to change my method of how to teach them. So yeah, this is how this was achieved. And then for the fifth one, skills and working collaboratively. So I joined World Vision Club. And I think with regards to clubs, my advice would be to choose a club that you know will tick some of those learning outcomes. So I think World Vision was a good club to join because not only did we do a lot of projects and events for the school, we also worked together and we involved a lot of ethics and global issues with each of our events. So for example, Hunger 12 or fundraising, it was quite, you know, it was, it helped me to tick off a lot of the learning outcomes as well and integrate different learning outcomes with skills and working collaboratively. So yeah, my advice would be just join a club that you know will give you many opportunities and that you can have a project in, and yeah, something that you stand for as well. And for the sixth one, again, global significance. So this was the Hunger 12 event that we hosted together. Again, global issues and getting involved, working together as a team, working collaboratively, getting the whole school involved. And then for the seventh learning outcome, this was achieved through my experience as a lab technician because I had to be aware of the unethical actions that could come with, for example, disposal of chemicals or protecting my own safety during experiments and the other students as well. So I had to, you know, educate myself how to safely dispose of the chemicals, protect the lab, how to handle chemicals. So you had to recognize and consider the ethics of, you know, choosing, for example, let's say an accident will happen. Should I help the student first or should I take care of the experiment first? You have to make those kind of decisions as a lab technician. So I think this was achieved through this experience.
Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate that. Olivia said something that was very helpful, is for those of you who are going to be going into the 11th grade and is wondering what you should do for CAS, and those of you who are struggling with ideas for what to do, those of you that are going into 12th grade, one thing that she said was very helpful. And it was, what are some of those things that you are putting off or that you've always wanted to do, but you feel like you don't have time to do them? Well, now you have a reason to do them, because oftentimes those extracurricular activities, especially if there's something new and it's challenging and it's related to helping you grow as a person, but now you have an excuse, a good reason to do them, because they can count as experiences for CAS, which will help you fulfill learning outcomes. And again, if you fulfill any of these 7 learning outcomes, it's not just something that you check on a checklist, because once you fulfill these 7 learning outcomes, and if you do it well, and if you do it meaningfully, you actually grow as a person. Okay, there's no way you can not grow if you're recognizing and considering the ethics of choices and actions, engaging with issues of global significance, demonstrating skills, and recognize the benefits of working together. All of these things are helping you to be a more holistic student than just someone who knows a lot about book learning, right? So someone who is a truly well-rounded student. So does anyone have any questions for what Livia shared? Okay, let's switch gears. We still have some time left. Does anyone have any questions about CAS itself that you would like to ask any of our grade 12 CAS students here? Okay, no questions. All right. Well, let's continue. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next thing that we're going to do. Okay, so we've heard from Joy, we've heard from Avani, we heard from Livia. Thank you, three, for sharing your experiences, especially with learning outcomes. The guiding question for the G10s and 11s was this: what do you think are your strengths and weaknesses in relation to these CAS 7 learning outcomes you heard shared in order to prepare yourself to do better and deeper CAS work next year? So you'll have a chance right now to go ahead and do that by scanning this QR code. But before we do that, just wanted to know, is Chelsea or Director Robert here? And if they would like to share any thoughts on CAS and the learning outcomes. Is Advisor Chelsea or Robert here, if you would like to share any thoughts as well?
All right, so I can say something about CAS since you guys are very quiet. One thing for incoming grade 11s and those of you grade 11s, I thought about this. For especially for service, it's a great opportunity for you to do something that you're passionate about, and also think of your strengths of what are you good at, and how can you share this strengths, what your talents are with others, and how do you serve others with your talents. So, for example, the service part of CAS, it doesn't have to be something that you have to sacrifice your time or something. If you can be actually doing something you enjoy. For example, if you really enjoy performing music, then you combine that with maybe you can perform at an elder's home or at a hospital. Okay, so you can do something that you are passionate about, and also think about something that we like to continue doing even in university. Okay, something that that's why you should choose something that's you're passionate about and you really care about. Okay, you think about all the global issues we have, all the maybe the war in Ukraine and the world poverty, all these issues, global warming, and so you can also think of how you can combine CAS with these, and also you're becoming grade 11s. You should also see how your CAS can be related to your extended essay. Okay, and I mean, when you start writing it, maybe you do, for example, there's a real example is one of the students in another IB school actually did one of the CAS activities to interview or talk to the custom officers, and I think in one of the European countries, in Switzerland or New Zealand. And then we found out that this custom officer actually worked during the World War II, and how he helped, allow the Jewish people, come into the country. And so that's why he was inspired by that. And when he wrote his extended essay, on the plight of the Jewish people, immigration into his country due to that CAS service. So so therefore CAS is not a standalone thing. Can really connect that to what you're learning at school to even N1P is some of your service and action units, and also further on your excellent essay, and even further into your university application, right? For example, if you're applying to England, UK, they want UK, universities want to see that you're really, sure about what you're doing, right? Why you want to do that. And so, for example, if your CAS is related to, let's say foreign relations, or you did something related to that, or say it's a med school, okay, you want to get in med school, you actually volunteered at a hospital, you had that volunteer experience, and then you extended essay, you wrote about, something related to biology or to medical research. And then when you apply to med school in the UK, you can really have a lot of evidence that you did your CAS was related to med school, your EU was related to med school, so you have a very strong, argument saying that you really want to get into med school. So, that's what I want your takeaway is. This is very CAS and extended essays and the IB core and TOK also work strongly together holistically in your DP experience, and you should really spend some time thinking about that, how you can incorporate that into your your DP experience for the next 2 years. Okay. Also, feel free to ask me any questions over here as well.
All right, thank you, Director Robert. Very poignant thoughts there. Okay, so for the last thing that I would like you to do as grade 10 and grade 11 students, let's go ahead and answer that guiding question that I asked you. Please share your thoughts on how these learning outcomes relate with your future CAS work. So go ahead and get your cell phones out and go ahead and go into this QR code and fill out that survey. It should only be 3 or 4 questions, but I want you to be filling it out and thinking about your future CAS work. All right, you guys, I also shared the link on the chat. If you want to go there, you can also fill out the survey there. Once you finish the survey, you can go ahead and leave this room. Thank you for coming to our G12 CAS reflection exhibition.